What's up, everybody? Who's ready to get a little bit better? You should say yes right now. Okay. I'm going to get real on this. I think it was a couple weeks ago I dropped a video, and it was all about how do I protect my mental health. Spoiler alert if you didn't see the video. Biggest way I protect my own mental health is through journaling, because that keeps me aware and I process through a lot of things in that journaling. That's where it's like therapy without the hourly rate. I think therapy's awesome. You should totally do that too. But for me, journaling's been a big tool. But the other side of the coin is we all have people in our lives who are struggling with mental health. You got a friend, family member, a coworker, maybe a boss, and they might not call it what it is, but you see the struggle. And so I just wanted to get practical and answer a question today that I think probably 90%, based on the stats, 95% of us can relate to, which is kind of this idea of how do I help my depressed friend? We've all got one, friend, family member, coworker. Like, how do I help them if they're depressed? How do I help someone if they're suicidal? Now, like, get professional help in that scenario for sure, but how do I help someone that is constantly dealing with anxiety, that they're isolating, they're depressed, how do I help? What can I do? I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist who can prescribe medication. What can I do? Because the statistics about what has happened to the mental health of our nation, just if you're watching this in the US, the stats in America for what has happened to our nation's mental health through the pandemic and post-pandemic are staggering. Suicide up like 700%, and addictions are up like, I can't remember the number, like 300%. It's staggering what people are dealing with. And so what can we do? How do we simplify, and are there practical ways that you and I can show up for somebody when they're dealing with some stuff? And the answer is 100% yes. So who wants some practical tools? And full credit, I want to reference, there's a book that is called Seen by authors Hutcherson and Williams. Highly recommend it. Here's the subtitle, because it's not what you think. Seen, Healing Despair and Anxiety in Kids and Teens Through the Power of Connection. Let me tell you why I got this book. Why my wife purchased this book. Because we've got two teenagers, 13-year-old, 16-year-old, and pandemic's been hard. Like virtual school, oh my God. I mean, I know it was hard on your parents, but like it's been tough on kids and the isolation. And so they're dealing with some stuff that none of us, because we didn't grow up in a pandemic, had to deal with. So we wanted some resources. So she bought this one along with several others. And when I read this book, it just lit a fire in me to be able to share this with more people, because there's some practical frames that you and I can grab hold of that are not complicated, that don't require a degree, that need no medication. But if all of us begin to do more of these things that I'm going to share with you, the world gets to be a better place and people find healing and wholeness. And the whole premise of the book is that the power of human connection has the ability to bring healing to someone else. Can we let that sink in for a moment? The power you have, that I have, to create human connection with another person it has the ability to bring healing, inner healing, peace and wholeness to an individual, but sometimes we don't even realize that. So 5 tools, 5 ways that you can help bring healing to other people. Tool number 1, this is complicated, this is tough. All you got to do is show up. That's all you got to do. You just have to make a decision to show up. That means when they're having a rough day and they call you, you answer the phone. That means when they don't want you to come over, they said they don't want you to come over, you come over anyways, and you don't need to talk, you don't need anything from them, you just sit in the same room. And you showed up. It means that when they called you again, and then again, and then again, and mentally, emotionally, you might be tired. You might have had a long week. You might not be having a good day. But because you love them, you show up. There's something that happens in someone when we show up consistently. And that's show up. The word consistently is not there, but the more consistently you show up, the more power it brings to bring healing in them. So each one of those, these are correlated. So when we show up, do you know what they feel? Our friends, our loved ones that are struggling with their mental health, when we show up, they feel loved. There's no greater power than love, guys. Love wins every single time. And when you show up and I show up, we don't have to have answers. We don't have to fix anything. We don't have to tell them what to do. We don't need medication. All we got to do is show up and they get to feel loved. So how could you show up a little bit more? Showing up can texting a person on a daily basis, sending them an encouraging note, making a big deal out of a birthday celebration, inviting them to lunch, going to dinner, including them in a family outing or something else. Like showing up can look a lot of different ways, but the more you show up for your people, the more they're going to feel loved. Number 2, see them. See them. And when we see them, they feel understood. Seeing them, we're not talking about surface level. We're not talking about the masks that people put up. But we're seeing requires looking between the lines, listening between the words that they speak. When they say, I'm fine, and you see them, you know they weren't being honest. Seeing them requires to take more time, to exercise that empathy muscle. Like when you really see someone, when you look into their soul. Listen, you know what seeing them can start with? Eye contact. Might start with putting this down and looking somebody in the eye and letting them know they're seen. Because I'm telling you, and I've been convicted about this myself. So like I've had times where I've gone home and I've spent an entire evening with my family and my wife in the same house. And I go to bed and I realize I didn't look my wife in the eye for a significant amount of time the entire evening because I was distracted. You want to help heal somebody? Just see them. Understand them. Take the time to understand, which leads to number 3, closely related. Just listen. Show up, see them, just listen. And when we just listen, people feel safe. Come on. Like, I know you're smart and you've got the answers and you know what they should do. But I love you enough to say this. Shut up! Like, I'm talking to myself too, because you can tell I like to talk. But sometimes they don't need our solutions. They don't need our ideas. They don't need our perspective. They just know that they can talk and be heard and not judged. Just hear them. Just listen. Create that safe space for them to be. I love the statement that says it's okay to not be okay. If you can just listen and make it okay for them to not be okay and not have to fix, correct, edit their emotions. Oh, gentlemen, we're really bad at that. No. Just listen, love, see them, understand them, create that safe space. Because when you create that safe space, healing can begin to happen. Sometimes somebody doesn't even know what they're thinking or feeling until they have an opportunity to verbalize it. And you can give somebody that space just to talk and give them the safety of listening. So that's number, what was that, 3? Number 4, this is the fun one for you talkers. Number 4, you want to help bring healing? Speak life. Speak life. Because when you speak life and you tell them who they really are and you remind them that they're stronger than they think and you remind them of what they've overcome and what they've persevered through, they have a 100% track record of surviving every difficult thing that they've been through because they're still breathing and talking to you. And you speak life. You can do this. If you're talking to a believer, you're speaking the word of God. You're saying the God that's on the inside of you is greater than what you're going through. Life is happening for you, not to you. Somehow, I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but there's a gift in these circumstances. It's making you stronger. And so you're going to speak life. You're going to speak life. You're going to speak life. And when we speak life, they get to remember that they're worthy. They get to remember that they're enough. They get to remember that, I have gotten through some stuff. I have persevered. I do have some hope that I can grab hold of. And sometimes they need you to not shut your mouth. Good news for you talkers, right? But like that discernment to know when you're supposed to shut up and just listen and when you're supposed to open your mouth and speak life. Notice speaking life doesn't require you to tell them what to do. It's a reminder of who they are and that they are worthy, that they're loved. And so speak life. And then the last point that I would encourage you with is, that doesn't flow quite as easy as the other ones, but it's the idea of developing grit. You could call it perseverance. Because when we got friends that are going through hard times, now you got to be careful. Like you can't, when somebody's going through hell and they feel like they're hopeless, you got to be careful how much you put in there of like, this is going to make you better and it's going to make you stronger. But what you can do is you can celebrate like, hey, you haven't given up yet. Like, I know it feels like crap and you feel like giving up, but you haven't. You still showed up here today. You're still showing up for your family. You're still showing up in your marriage. You're still showing up for your kids. Like, I'm so proud of you. You're like, I know it doesn't feel like it, but I see you becoming stronger through this. And I know you can get through this on the other side. And when they realize that they can develop grit and that they're getting stronger, they feel empowered. So you may feel like you got somebody you love that you care about and they're going through the toughest time of their life and they've lost hope. But if you can do these 5 things, show up, listen, or see them, listen, speak life, and celebrate developing grit, then your people, they get to feel some of the most powerful things in the world. They get to feel loved, understood, safe, worthy, and empowered. You're not helpless anymore. You got tools that you can pull out of your toolbox. And again, you got to kind of be like, okay, what do I need to do right now? Do I need to speak life or do I need to just listen? Do I need, like, am I really seeing them or I'm seeing what I think I know and I'm not speaking life to them. I'm just waiting for them to stop talking so I can tell them what I already think. No, none of that. Like, you got to see, you got to understand, you got to create that safe space. So, curious, which one of these 5 do you need to work on a little bit more? You should drop it in the chat. Not just drop it in the chat, you should do it this week. And really, you might need to do several of these. There might be somebody in your life. Again, statistically, the large majority of you watching this video right now, there's someone right now that you know that's struggling with their mental health. They may have been suicidal at the time. They're depressed. They're anxious. They're struggling, okay? And don't act like you can't do anything. Don't just send them to the doctor. Parents, this book that I referenced, it was written for parents because parents, if we can get better at doing these things for our teenage kids and even our adolescent kids, like you guys know the statistic on suicide go down to 9-year-olds because there's a significant enough a number that it should be in the stat sheet. Like that's heartbreaking. But we can do things to help bring healing to our people, the people that we love and care about. So, little bit different video today, but I hope that I've equipped you. I hope that you were able to grab hold of some hope and some practical tools to be able to serve the people you love to help bring some healing. I love you all. This is where you should get off this video right now and go out there and give your greatness to the world because somebody needs what's on the inside. Like seriously, they need you to be part of their healing. So give that greatness away. I love you guys. Have a great week.